Hey guys, welcome back to the Betar Project. I'm your host, Nick Betar. Very grateful to be here today. Very grateful for today's guest as well, Brent Trotter. Thank you for coming on, man.
Oh, welcome, mate. I'm honoured to be on.
Let's start. What's something you're grateful for?
I'm grateful to wake up every day at this point in time. Um, yeah, that's pretty much. If I wake up every day, I'm excited for the day. I'm very structured in how my days work, also. But yeah, just to wake up for me, and of course my partner and her family. That's a big part for me, also.
Yeah, it's the simplest things in life, really, that you got to be grateful for.
Oh, absolutely, Nick. Like, the good thing about COVID in Victoria is it brought us back into reality. I think for the majority of the time we were floating outside of reality, and it just slowed everything down and made everyone realise that, you know, to hear the birds singing, and I know this sounds a bit bizarre, but hear the birds singing and watching sunrises and sunsets and stuff like that. It's just it's made the world, or made the world of Victoria slow down and realise that the little things are far more important than earning $500,000 a year.
100%. Everyone just gets caught up in the rat race and day to day, just hustle and bustle, but we don't sit back to just enjoy the small things. Like, as you said, listen to the birds, the sunsets, and all that.
Yeah, it's absolutely great, and it's needed. And hopefully, hopefully we do get the vaccines that work. But I think it's definitely made a big difference here in Vic.
Mm. So, how was quarantine for you? Did you enjoy it or?
Oh, it was what it was. It didn't affect me in the sense of work. I still got to go to work the days that I was working, so I wasn't specifically stuck at home. Um, and we really only had lockdown hard in Geelong for a month, um, but Melbourne was far different. But everyone I've talked to, even I've spoken to many people, and I was even on some Zoom things with Builder Brotherhood. Most people were quite up and about, considering what was going on. So I think most people handled it very well. Uh, with even mental health, people suggest that mental health was going to go backwards. Well, the suicide rate actually slowed in Victoria. So yeah, so COVID wasn't such a bad thing.
Yeah, less stress on people.
Yeah, absolutely, and made everyone slow down,
Mm,
as we discussed before. So yeah, well, it's good. I,
yeah,
I do lose sight of what we're talking about at times. Sorry, that's my ADHD. But yeah,
that's all right.
all good.
Yeah, I was lucky enough because I'm from New South Wales. Work actually picked up for us because everyone was home, so they all wanted like air conditioning and that. So we
Yeah,
didn't get a break at
absolutely.
all.
Yeah, so you guys handle. I think your government handled it a lot better than what ours did. So yeah, you guys have been able to function quite normally compared to down here in Vic. So yeah, all credit to you guys.
Awesome. Well, let's jump into your story, and I guess before we do that, I'll just give a trigger warning. What Brent's going to discuss is raw. It's about drug addiction and all that. So if this is going to trigger you, maybe not listen or skip to the end. But yeah, Brent, tell me about your story. Let's go back to the beginning. What was your upbringing like?
Look, my upbringing was pretty good. I was lucky in well, my father and I didn't always get along, but I was lucky in the extent that my father gave me structure as a young kid growing up. Obviously, I had undiagnosed ADHD, um, which was great for me. I was a class clown. I didn't concentrate a hell of a lot at school. I had a lot of issues at school with teachers and all that sort of stuff. I had major learning difficulties. But look, at the end of the day, Without my father's structure, I really would have struggled. Look, in saying that, I grew up in a small place called Warwick-Nabil up in the northwest of Victoria, which was a population of about 3,000 people, small country town, farming communities all around. My upbringing was fairly normal until about 14. I didn't go through puberty as well as all my other mates. As you can tell, even to this day, I don't have a great deal of facial hair. I am 48 now, and I still struggle to
I feel
grow
you.
a
I can't
beard.
grow a beard out as well.
So, yeah, it's a bit rough, but that's life, and I'm bald, so that doesn't help. But yeah, look, like I said, up until 14, I thought it was fairly normal, but you know what's normal? I don't even think anything's normal anymore. And that's a discussion we'll go to at a later date. But yeah, so through high school, I didn't grow a lot of body hair. We didn't know why. We just assumed that because I grew really quick, well, maybe that was why. Through high school, I did have a lot of impure thoughts. And that's sort of when my drug taking started. From about 14, 15, I started smoking a bit of weed, and it was only occasionally on weekends. It wasn't every weekend. But by the time I was 17, 18, I had started drinking, and that was every weekend. Not that that's a big thing, and I know a lot of kids are drinking now that are 14 and 15. So, but everyone handles everything differently. Yeah, so that sort of went on through high school. By the time I'd left, I was smoking every day, and that's smoking bongs every day, drinking excessively on weekends, and that was all to my thoughts had increased over the time. I was picked on quite a bit because I was extremely tall. But that's life growing up in a small country town. The good thing about growing up in a small country town is it's a dog-eat-dog world. You can be getting picked on one day and then someone else getting picked on the next. But it did make you. There was a lot of kids that even I picked on. Do you know what I mean? Like it wasn't just a one-way street. It did help. It did help escape. I had a lot of issues. I didn't know how to deal with those issues. That was in the early 80s and 90s. It's not something you spoke to anyone about either because you were classed as weak. Yeah, hopefully that's starting to change, and it is starting to change, and it's great to see. I know with Jack's, my partner's two young boys, we tell them that it's okay to cry, but as a kid growing up for myself, if I cried, that was you're piss weak or you're a sook. Yeah, we're changing that. Through my 20s was excessive. And honestly, up until 32, I was pretty much an alcoholic, and I got diagnosed with alcoholism just before 32. So I sort of knew, and within that alcoholism, there's what's am I trying to say? That it basically that brings you into all your drug taking and all that sort of stuff, because that's just the road that you end up going down. Yeah. So at 32, I got diagnosed with low testosterone. It was basically I was trying to have children with a partner at the time, and anyway, I found out that I had low testosterone and couldn't produce children. For me, that spiraled me out of control. and honestly, I lost the plot pretty much. Had a nervous breakdown, and just I went AWOL. I went stupid on the amount of drugs that I took through my 30s, to the point where in a 10-year period, I had 3 attempts at taking my life. Obviously, 1 was by accident, but 2 were definites that I tried. And I'm super happy that I didn't succeed. But as people would be listening to this and go, well, hang on, you tried once, why are you trying again? Well, for me, the ultimate was to have children. And when you find out that you can't have children, you don't feel like a man anymore. And I'm sure there's lots of couples out there and people who go through that who would understand that. But I was alone. And I didn't know how to tell anyone. I was lucky enough at the age of 35, I started to go see a psychiatrist, and that was a turning point for me. There'd been probably 6 months where I was thinking, I need to go and see someone. I need to talk to someone because I'm just trying to escape every weekend. Obviously smoking large amounts of dope during the week. I'm talking anywhere from half an ounce of dope to nearly an ounce a week, which is, people just go, what? But yeah, it was excessive, but I just didn't deal with anything. The psychiatrist pulled me into line. She was very firm. She told me some honest truths, but she also gave me a lot of coping mechanisms and tools to work towards improving myself. Obviously, as we know, I still attempted to take my life, even though I was seeing a psychiatrist. And I was working with my father through that time, running a business 7 days a week. People would say to me, how can you do what you do? Mate, I don't know how I did it, to be honest, but I did it. I'd be getting phone calls 24/7. I mean, 1 and 2 in the morning for stuff for V-Line to organise buses to get them on down to Melbourne because someone's jumped in front of the train. Was very professional in that side of things, but not so professional on weekends. I used to use a saying, I used to treat my body and my mind like a public toilet on the weekends. Yeah, I really treated myself badly, and that probably didn't help my mental, or definitely didn't help my mental state. But through that, we were working towards things. I was extremely lucky. I could go and tell my psychiatrist everything that took place on my weekends. And she did reassure me that I was doing it for my escapism. But I was also very easily led as a person as well. So I got hooked up with the younger crowd, and it's nothing against the younger crowd. This is all on me, but I was always trying to outdo them, have more drugs than them. And now I was obviously a very big person who took large amounts of ecstasy on weekends. And I tried everything except heroin. So I've had ice, I've had everything. I wouldn't recommend anyone take ice. I don't recommend anyone take any drugs, but definitely if you've got a chance of not taking them, do not touch ice. It will send you, it'll give you psychosis any day of the week. And I've seen that with many people. Even myself, I had to stop taking that because it was sending me loopy. Yeah, rough through that period, mate. But then I was lucky enough or lucky in my extent, I lost my license drink driving, and that was a turning point for me. It assisted me to get away from my father's business, which was something that I'd been wanting to do for some time, but I didn't know how to approach it. Lose your license, lose your job was pretty much what took place. But I was lucky enough that I'd had 12 months long service leave up my sleeve to take, due to working 7 days a week. So I took that off. I educated myself in the field that I'm currently in, which is residential support work for people with disabilities. I've been doing this job now for 5 years, and it's the best thing I've ever done. I get to care for people, which I thoroughly enjoy, to assist people to better themselves in the community, and not only better themselves, to better myself also. It's a win-win for me, this job. I've just finished 4 night shifts in a row at a house where I work for 7 clients. So, I can't thank this job enough. And obviously my partner and her kids have definitely helped me in my process of turning myself around. That's about it, mate.
That's awesome. Let's go back a bit. You mentioned, you attempted to end your life.
Yep.
I guess you may not fully understand it as well, but what leads someone to that extent that they want to end their life? Like, what was going through your mind that said, you know what, I'm better off just ending it?
Yeah, look, when you're going out and launching into bulk drugs on a weekend, there's always a come down from that. But I was so disgusted in my behaviour, going out and partying with the younger generation. It's only now that I can look back and say, people would say, oh, I thought I was super cool by doing that, but at the end of the day, I wasn't. But I was in such a state mentally. I was literally in a hole. I could see no way out. The only way to end the pain was to end my life. I was so mentally unstable, mate. I had like, I'm still highly medicated now. I have severe depression, ADHD, high anxiety. I have panic attacks, and a lot of this has come from high drug use. My severe depression, I was actually born with that. And people say, oh, you can't be born with that, but genetically, I was born with that. There's not a lot I can do about that, but I do take medication for that. So the bad thoughts have stopped due to educating myself, seeing a psychiatrist, and doing the work. It was basically doing the work. But yeah, look, mate, it's a terrible hole to be in. It's really, I still struggle to this day to explain it, but you just literally have voices in your head telling you to end it, and you literally believe those voices that you should end it. It's the worst. I don't ever wish it upon anyone, and that's why I do what I do, to try and assist people not to be in that position. But I ended up on a drug called lithium because the voices were controlling me to the point where I was on suicide watch. So yeah, it's rough, and it's really hard to explain, but anyone who's been in that position would know that it's hell on earth. That's all I can put it down to. And people will go, well, what's hell? But if your mind is telling you that you should take your life, that's hell. Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, yeah.
Well,
anyone who even suggests that taking your life is the easy way out, I can tell you fucking now, it is not the easy way out. To even contemplate doing that, the emotional discharge that takes place before you even attempt that, mate, it's, yeah. I actually bawled my eyes out for about 6 hours. Like, I've never cried like I did leading into those attempts.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's hard to explain, but yeah, you don't want to take your life. Most people don't want to do it, but they just want the pain to stop, and that's what it's all about.
Thank you for sharing that with me, and thank God you didn't end your life.
Oh, mate, I'm super glad I didn't, because I wouldn't be in the position that I am now. I wouldn't have my beautiful partner and her gorgeous kids, and I own the house that I live in. I'm extremely happy where I live. I'm extremely happy with my job. I'm extremely happy for all the people that are in my life. Yeah, and like I said, and this is why I'm doing what I do, to assist others out there. That I don't want you to be in that position where those voices in your head are telling you that you need to end it.
Mm. And you're a living example of you can be at rock bottom, but you can change your life around and be in such a great position that you are in now.
Oh, look, we can all change it, and I think that's the beauty of being human. It's different for an animal that rely on humans. They don't have a choice, but we do, and I think that's what we can always change it. And I'm a big advocate of that doesn't matter where you are, you have the choice to turn your life around. Now, money's not going to do that for you. You can, if you work your ass off, you can achieve anything. And I was lucky enough over the last few weeks that I met a bloke who we were just discussing about before, Jackson Tippett. Now, he's the one that's really given me the kickoff to talk about these podcasts. Yeah, like, I think you only have to have a look at that bloke and see how hard he works. Is what it's all about. You just got to keep working and working, and there's days you don't want to do it, but you just got to. And it's definitely worth it. Like, it was only 5 years ago I was at the bottom of the pit thinking, well, I'm going to end it. And here I am 5 years down the track, running the Black Dog community, assisting people with their mental health and mental illness, educated myself in getting 3 certificates in mental health. Yeah, you can change it at any point. It's just up to you.
Exactly. It's just like anything in life. If you start something and you stay consistent with it, you can make so much growth and change in your life.
Oh, absolutely. And I see it. Jackson Tippett and I were talking about it, like he can give you the best program in the world, but if you don't follow his diet program, you're not going to achieve what you want to achieve.
Exactly.
So you got to do the work. So yeah.
Yeah. Prime example, like I'm going to boost myself up a bit here, but like when I started this podcast, I was only getting maybe 20 views.
Yep.
And today I've just gone and checked, and my most recent episode just reached 1,000 views.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Crazy.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it's about. You just got to be consistent and keep presenting, getting people on the talk, and people will listen. But you just got to keep presenting it. So, no, you're doing an awesome job, Nick. Trust me. And people like myself are extremely grateful for the opportunity to speak.
I'm grateful that you've taken the time to come on and share and open up, which has been amazing. It's going to help a lot of people.
Yeah, that's okay. Look, that's the one thing I am, is open and honest about everything I've been through. Look, I do struggle to speak about some of it. But, I lay it on my drug use was extreme. My drinking was extreme. I'm an idiot, mate. I used to drink drive all the time until I got caught. Now I don't drink drive. I don't even use my phone in my car. I got done with that 5 years ago also. And I basically nearly lost my license, had to go on that 1 point for 12 months. So you learn very valuable lessons over the time. And yeah, hopefully I'm teaching some lessons to some others on paths not to take.
Yeah. Then hopefully people will learn from your mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want anyone to put themselves in the positions that I put myself in. There was times that I took so much drugs, I'm surprised I'm here. Like the one time I did try and really end it was I'd been drinking all day at the footy. I come home and took 10 200 milligram Seroquel tablets. Now, that should wipe anyone off the planet. But somehow I woke up like 36 hours later. So, yeah, I just don't want people to do that. There's more to life.
Yeah. I guess that's a sign too that you woke up and you didn't overdose. It means there is a bigger purpose for you out there.
Oh, there is, and that was the turning point for me also, in this extent that I started the group, the Black Dog community, that I wanted to assist people. I don't want people to go down that and be in that position. There's nothing worse than being in that. You feel like you're alone. You feel like you're burdening people. At times, I felt I was a failure to my parents, even though I wasn't. But I felt that I was letting them down as well as myself. So I just don't want people to be in that boat. And hopefully we can slow the suicide rate, because people are worth it. If we can get that point across, that everyone's worthy of their life, then I think we can go a long way to changing it.
Yeah, exactly. And platforms like this podcast, you also mentioned, Jackson, Build a Brotherhood. There's so many people out there spreading the message and spreading like raw and real stories of people. And, people are realizing that they're not alone, and it's okay to speak up and talk about their feelings, which is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I've also got a couple other mates, the Betar Project, Discovering the Best You. And also a guy that I've got on my page at the moment is Kobe Watts, who's a local DJ in New South Wales. He's got a great story also, and he's overcome cocaine addiction. So, it's if you want to get on and follow Kobe Watts, he's he can relate to the younger generation very much so, and he's doing some wonderful things out there as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's great to see, because, depression and suicide it happens so often, and it's sad to see.
Sad. I think, if we can educate through the schools, which is starting to take place, or has been for a bit, but is really starting to kick off more so. I think if we can get the younger generation on board, that it's okay not to be okay, which we're all working towards anyway. But start with the kids, we can make a big difference. It's all about education, and we're doing it through the schools, and we're making progress, and that's all we can do, man, because we got so far behind the 8 ball that now we're playing catch up. But I think we can slow it down. I don't think we're ever going to stop it, but if we can slow it, it's going to make a big difference.
Yeah, it's just going to take time. And as long as, say this podcast saves one person's life, like, that's amazing. That's our purpose.
Mate, that's what it's all about. It's not about saving thousands, because at the end of the day, you can't. You can only save one life at a time. And if we make someone think about the bad place they could be in and the possibility of what they're thinking, if we can stop that, we've achieved something.
Yeah. You've mentioned the Black Dog community. You want to explain what it is and how it all got started?
Yeah, it's too easy. Thanks, Nick. Look, it's a something I started about 4 years ago now. It started off very tiny as well, mate. It started off with about, I think, about 500 people, if that. We're now on. We're not massive like some of the others, but we've got 1.5 thousand. So look, it's moving along. But it's a community where you can come, you can voice anything, any feelings, any emotions, any thoughts you're having, and everyone on the community can get in and give you some helpful advice. I have the theory that no one's advice is right or wrong. It's just a lived experience, and everyone lives a different experience. So if you write something that you've had a bad run, you've had all these impure thoughts, then other people will write to you and say, okay, maybe try this and this. And yeah, it seems to be working, and everyone's extremely helpful on the page. And I can't thank people enough that have hung around. We've got a good nucleus of people that hang about. So yeah, we're working towards just assisting other people in yeah, not going down that path, that's for sure.
That's awesome. Is that just a Facebook group?
Yeah, look, it's a Facebook group and Instagram. So if you just go to the Black Dog community on Facebook, and also Black Dog community on Instagram. If you need to email me, you can. It's all lowercase, so trotter.brent1@gmail.com. I'm happy to assist with anything, any mental health issues, mental illness issues. As I said, I do have some training in psychology. I am not a psychologist, but I do have some training in psychology. So I can assist most people. Medications is not my side of things, but I can assist you in giving you the tools and also assisting you on how to go about things, especially to move forward to even get a specialist.
Yeah. And it's awesome because you can relate to people because you've been through the shit.
Oh, look, absolutely. And I think that's what I do have up my sleeve. And people do find me very relatable, because basically I've been through most things that people are struggling with.
Mm. So how many years off drugs are you now?
So I'm 3 years clean off drugs. I had my first drink at Christmas time. That would have been the first time in 12 months. So for me, they're both huge, huge. I've literally been taking drugs since I was 14 or 15. Yeah, so to achieve that, like I smoked bombs for 17 years. Quitting marijuana for me was the hardest of them all, even though it's supposed to be the softest.
Okay. Well, why do you say that?
I was so addicted to it that I went through 6 months of severe night sweats because I was such a heavy user.
Yeah.
I do have an addictive personality disorder, and that's part of the alcoholism. And in turn, once I start something, mate, it's all in or nothing. Yeah, so that took place. I went through a lot of anger issues getting off marijuana. So yeah, I've always been a bit of an aggressive person, and that's due to not having high testosterone or normal levels of testosterone. So fighting for me was always an issue, but getting off marijuana just made that even more extreme. So it was by far the toughest drug I've had to get off.
Yeah. Well, it's
And I still struggle. I still struggle to this day to stay off it.
Well, it's an amazing achievement that you've been off for 3 years now. That's That's awesome.
Oh, well, I've been off marijuana for 5,
Oh,
but
5? Yep.
yeah, but it's I was still smoking up until I was 40. So yeah, not good.
Mm. How do you go
But
about, I guess, going out with friends and that now, especially when they're drinking?
yeah, look, I struggle a bit with that. I've had to avoid a few parties of late, um, due to that I don't want to go because I believe that it will lead me down a path of poor choices. Um, so yeah, I'm still not fully recovered in that extent.
It's great that you're self-aware though, not to put yourself in that position.
Yeah, but it makes it hard because there's plenty of guys I want to catch up with, and I sort of feel that I can't. Um, I had a mate's 30th on the weekend that I really wanted to go to, but I just couldn't, because I just know once I get a skin full of grog into me that I will make poor choices. Doesn't matter how I could sit here on the couch all day and tell you that I'm not going to do it, and then all of a sudden, if someone offers something, I'm like, "Yep, no worries." So that's the thing I have to avoid, and hopefully in a few years' time or 12 months' time, I don't have those issues. But at this point in time, I don't trust myself.
Yeah. And hopefully your friends are understanding of that and you haven't lost friendships over it.
No, I haven't. And most people, I haven't had to explain that, but I think most people know that due to my journey over, especially the last 4 years. So people know that I'm out there and bust my ass to improve myself. And yeah, they're very supportive of what I'm trying to achieve.
That's awesome. And on support, everyone needs a support network. Who are those people that supported you through, I guess, getting off drugs and alcohol?
Yeah, look, yeah, my partner at this point in time, um, she's been a big supporter around me getting off that, of the party drugs. Obviously, I'd quit smoking weed before I met her, but yeah, she's been the catalyst for me and her kids. I just want to be a better person. I want to be a better stepdad. Um, I just want to be better. Basically, I don't want to be a moody prick. I do still suffer with moods, um, but when I was on that stuff, I was even more moody. Um, yeah, so without her by my side, and obviously wanting to improve myself and stay away from that stuff myself, I wouldn't be in this position.
Yeah. And I guess your partner having kids as well has made you want to be more of a role model in a positive way.
Yeah, look, I never try and put myself in that role model, even though I am.
Yeah.
Um, I don't try and I just try and educate them that, to make good choices, not poor choices. Poor choices will lead you into trouble. Um, but look, I don't want to say too much because the missus will be right onto me with even this podcast. But yeah, hopefully our kids don't go down that path, but there is a fair chance that they will. Um, just yourself, mate. You only have to go to your local, and everyone talks about drugs pretty freely these days. So I've noticed I've been watching a bit of TikTok, and it's talked about on TikTok very freely. So it's definitely out there. It's only going to get worse. So hopefully we can educate them to make the right choices and hopefully avoid it.
Exactly. But kids will be kids. They're going to try stuff. Just hopefully they don't
Oh,
get hooked
absolutely.
on it.
Yeah, and that's what I want to educate them about. That if you do, you can always come to me. You can talk to me, and yeah, hopefully you don't get yourself into too much trouble.
Awesome. So obviously everything that's happened in your life, what are some positives that you've taken out of it all?
One of the main positives is that I'm capable. Um, always had a bit of a belief that I wasn't capable of achieving a great deal. But I'm resilient and I'll adapt to any situation. And I'm very capable. I think, a lot of us have low self-esteem, and until you build that up and you're happy within yourself, you're happy with who you are and happy within yourself, then you know what you're capable of. A lot of people reach that before I did. A lot of people reach that before they're even 30.
Yeah.
But with me, I was a late bloomer. So I've now worked that out, and life's changed for me dramatically. So just believe in yourself. You, as I said, you can change at any point. You can change your life. So that's all you got to keep believing.
Exactly. You tell yourself you can do something, you'll do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're capable.
Exactly.
No one can tell you you're not capable, because you're very capable. I was very poor at school. Most of my grades were E's and F's, but I just finished 3 certificates in psychology. So, you're very capable. Doesn't matter, maybe schooling needs to teach kids life skills instead of some of the things they get taught. Are we better off having a class around mental health instead of you've got to know your pi r squared and all this sort of stuff that I don't always believe is necessary? Do we teach kids that you're going to end up with a prick of a boss and he's going to treat you like shit, but that says more about him than it does about you. So they're the things I believe we should be teaching them.
Yes. Don't get me started on the schooling system. That's a whole different new podcast there. And I don't even have kids.
Yeah, absolutely it is. So they're the things that I hope we can improve on.
Hopefully down the track. But
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And on that, what's one piece of advice you'd give a young kid coming up that's maybe in a crowd where they're playing around with drugs and stuff like that?
Always have someone you can talk to. The good thing I do find about the younger generation is they are more open with their own generation than my generation. In my generation, there's still the stigma that it's weak to speak. It is improving, but the younger generation are very good at speaking and being in touch with their emotions, where they're not piss weak if they cry and all that sort of stuff. So look, I find the younger generation, they're definitely learning quicker than what we did. So I think the younger generation are in a better position. So they're going okay, even though they're probably in the biggest drug dependency point at this stage.
Yeah.
But I think that's still a lot of the overdoses with the younger generation are due to ego, wanting to outdo their mate and all this sort of stuff. If we can slow that egotistical stuff down, I think we have a good chance of, obviously slowing down overdoses and just a bit of stupid behaviour.
Yeah, 100%. Especially being in Australia, like all young males just want to outdo each other.
And that's the ego. We've got to be better than the bloke next to us. Well, we don't have to be. So you just got to be happy within yourself. And if you don't want to be taking shitloads of gear, well, don't do it.
100%.
And there shouldn't be any bagging out about it either. It's the choice.
And if your mates are bagging you out, they obviously aren't your true mates.
Well, exactly right. We were talking about it on another podcast. I used to laugh at the guy that used to go home early. I tell you what, I wish I was that guy that went home early,
Yeah.
because the things I'm dealing with now in my later life due to my excessive drug use, yeah, I wish I was that guy that went home early.
Yeah. See, I was that guy who went home early.
Yeah, you're lucky, man. Trust me. Like, I used to pay that guy out, but yeah, I'm the one dealing with panic attacks and all that sort of shit now, which were from my drug abuse.
Mm. The great thing of hindsight, you don't see that when you're that age, don't you?
No, you don't. And I think, that's the one thing I'm trying to educate even our kids with is, you don't have to be the one that's always out doing someone else. It's a choice. Try and make the right choices. Yeah, you're gonna make the wrong choices at times, but you know what? It's okay. As long as you don't put yourself in a dangerous position.
100%. Now, Brent, what is your purpose for life now? Obviously, it would have changed a lot since, drug addiction to now, and you're more grateful for life.
Oh, look, I'm definitely more grateful for life. My purpose now is obviously uh, to make sure my partner and her kids are in a good position in life, in the sense that we've got money, we can afford things, we can live a decent life. Obviously, the black dog community is very important to me. I want it to grow. I want it to progress. Um, I just want to assist as many people as I can, and hope that they don't make poor choices like I did.
And I guess that leads into my next question. Where do you see yourself in the next few years? What are your goals for the Black Dog community and the other stuff that you're doing?
Yeah, look, I still see myself working in residential support. It's something I really enjoy. Um, Obviously, black dog community. I want it to progress. I would love it to get to the lofty heights of the Betar Project, build a brotherhood. I'd love it to get to those lofty heights. But in turn, that's a lot of work also. Um, yeah, well, hopefully there's a bit of talk with myself and a guy up in Queensland who's discovering the best stew, and also Kobe Watts is. Our plan is to go around and do talks and all that sort of stuff. So hopefully that comes to fruition, and yeah, we can get around to schools and educate them. Alistair Mitchell, who's discovering the best stew, he currently talks for Living .org. So he does a lot of talks at schools, and I've actually sat in at one of his seminars, and yeah, he's one of the really good guest speakers that I've heard in a long time. He really draws in the crowd, uh, involves the crowd, and yeah, and people are really drawn to him. So that's where we're headed in the big picture.
I love that. And as we said before, if you believe it, you can do it.
Yeah, well, look, hopefully we can work it all together and get it working, because yeah, the three of us have been down a similar path, and we're trying to educate people that you don't have to make those poor choices to end up in a better position, but if you do, here's some ways to deal with it and get through it. So yeah.
That's awesome. Now, what is your definition of success?
Oh, that's the hardest question I've had, I think. Look, I think success comes in many different forms. I think if you're happy within yourself and you're happy with what you've achieved, that's success. I, I don't think you have to prove anything to anyone to be successful. It's about you and you only. That's my definition of success. As long as you're happy with what you've achieved, doesn't matter what anyone else thinks.
100% agree with that. That's awesome. You know, so many people think money means success. Fuck that. It's happiness. You got to be happy within yourself and your life.
Oh, mate. Yeah, we get given this list that what we have to achieve before we retire. I think that's a load of shit.
Mm.
You know, you got to have a house, you got to have this, you got to have that. Well, yeah, having security of a house is important, but it's not the be all and end all. As long as you're happy with what you've achieved in your life, doesn't matter what anyone else thinks, because at the end of the day, no one else gives a shit. Then when they come to your funeral, or you know, when you're in your late whatever and you pass away, they're not going to say, "Oh shit, how successful was he? How much did he achieve?" Like, people don't talk about success once you're gone.
No, they
So
just move on.
no, they move on. Exactly. And most people don't give a shit what you're doing anyway.
Exactly. And that also moves into my last question for you. When your time's up on this earth, you're done and dusted for natural causes, not overdose.
Yeah.
What would you like to be remembered for?
Yeah, basically a guy who turned his life around. That's wholeheartedly it. You know, he made change. That's all I can ask for, that people go, well, he turned it around. And that's what I'm trying to do, is turn it around. Treat everyone with respect, have no judgment upon anyone, and treat everyone equally, because we are equal. Just because you run a successful business doesn't make you any better than the person cleaning toilets at fucking Kmart. It's no different.
Exactly.
Long as you're happy with what you do, doesn't matter what anyone else thinks.
Yep. Who gives a shit about everyone?
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on. I'm super grateful for you coming on and sharing your story. It's been amazing chatting with you.
Too easy, mate. I appreciate it.
So you also mentioned, the Black Dog community. Where else can we find you? Is that all you have for socials?
Look, I can give people my phone number, and if they wish to contact me, they can. So it's 0427 999 271. Now, if they wish to discuss anything, just send me a text, and I'll get back to them within 24 hours. And obviously, if it's urgent, please ring Lifeline on 13 11 14. So, yeah.
Awesome. You're actually the first person that's given out their personal number.
That's fine, mate. I don't have a problem with that. Yeah, I'm here to help, and that's all it's about.
Just goes to show the kind of bloke you are, man. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for listening. This has been, I think, episode 59 of the Betar Project. If you enjoyed this episode, if you got something out of this episode, give us a like, a share, a rating. Also, head over to the Black Dog community, give them a follow, join the group, and check it all out. Thank you guys for listening.
Thanks, Nick.
Cheers. Awesome, man. Thank you so much.